Welcome back to Awesome Possum Hobbies and Games. And today is my favorite day of the week. It's my TCG Player Mail Day. Let's see what I got, and hopefully it's awesome. Here I got my latest TCG Player Direct mail order. Let's see if there's anything fun inside. So now that we have everything unpackaged from all my TCG Player orders, this is all going to be related to Karlov Manor. This is my usual order of cards directly after a release. This one's for Karlov Manor. I always go through and try to pick up the best deals I can right after release. Unfortunately, I missed the time when the Surveil lands were dirt cheap. I was in between funds, so I had to pay a little bit extra for a premium, but not too much more compared to where the prices are now. I think prices have more than tripled to where they were during the bottoming out during the release time. I'm glad to have picked up these cards when I did. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and go over them right now. First one is Illicit Masquerade. This is a 1 black 3 colorless enchantment flash. When it enters the battlefield, put an imposter counter on each creature you control. Whenever a creature you control with an imposter counter on it dies, exile it, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I'm going to go ahead and get this in my CDC deck. This card's fantastic. I got 4 copies of Deadly Cover-Up. Deadly Cover-Up is a fantastic new black card. I recommend everyone going out there and picking up them now while they are dirt cheap. Deadly Cover-Up is 2 black, 3 colorless sorcery. As an additional cost to the cast a spell, you may collect evidence 6. Destroy all creatures. If evidence was collected, exile a card from an opponent's graveyard. Then search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. This card's fantastic. If you're trying to get rid of if you go through and you're outnumbered by having your opponent having more creatures on the battlefield than you, this goes through and just board wipes. It just completely gets rid of everything, and then you're able to go through and get rid of their most powerful creature from the game. Period. You're not going to see it again. This card is fantastic. I think this is going to be a great auto-include for a lot of decks. I've already seen it being played on Arena in blue-black decks, blue-black-red decks. This card is fantastic. So go out there, pick them up now while you can for dirt cheap. Axebane Ferox, 2 green, 2 colorless, 4/4 creature human beast with death touch and haste, and then ward. Your opponent has to collect evidence for it in order just to look at it. I went through it and got myself a playset. Card's great. Right now, I believe they're going for roughly 50 cents each. It's a fantastic card. Go out through and pick them up now. Lamp-like Phoenix, 2 red, 1 colorless, 3/3 creature phoenix flying. When it dies, you may exile it and collect evidence for it. If you do, return this card to the battlefield tapped. I think this card has some potential. It may see some play in Standard. I'm really hoping that Wizards goes through and changes their where Standard was back to a 2-year cycle. When they do, or if they do, this card will become immediately relevant because it is a fantastic red card, especially in a red-blue deck. Being able to have a 3/3 flying, and then if you've gone through and discarded cards, descended a few times, the chances are for this card to keep coming back is incredibly high. Next card is the Citizen Trophy. I can't say enough good things about this card for a green, a black. It's an instant. Destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card and put it in the battlefield, and then they shuffle. So this card just destroys any card, and just for the cost of giving your opponent a land, it's great. Blood Splatter Analysis. I think this card has some potential being played in Standard for a black, a red. It's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target creature and opponent controls, and then whenever 1 or more creatures die, mill a card and put a Bloodstain counter on this card, and then sacrifice it if it has 5 or more Bloodstain counters on it. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So you're milling yourself a little bit, which is going to be helping you descend if you're playing a descent deck. On top of that, You're able to get back creatures that you've milled or have been destroyed. And on top of that, it deals 3 damage to a creature an opponent controls. This card does a lot. I think it's going to see some play. I'm not sure when, but I picked up 4 copies of it. Next card's Drag the Canal. This is a very circumstantial card for a blue, a black, and it's an instant. Create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. If a creature died this turn, you gain 2 life, surveil 2, and then investigate. So this is all about playing as a reaction. Otherwise, you're playing as a 2/2 creature that's going to be kind of flashed into play to be able to make a blocker. If you haven't, if you've been able to kill a creature that turn, you're able to do so much more with surveilling 2, investigating, and gaining 2 life. Man, this card's great. I think it will see some play, especially in a control deck. I picked up 3 copies of it. I don't think 4 will ever be in a deck, but we'll see. Urgent Necropsy, 1 green, 1 black, 2 colorless. As additional cost to cast a spell, collect evidence X, where X is the total mana value of permanents this spell targets. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, and up to 1 target enchantment, and up to 1 target planeswalker. I got 1 copy of this. I don't know what this is going to go in, or if it's actually going to work, because that additional cost of evidence X can be very, very expensive. But at the same time, this card can do so much by destroying creatures, enchantments, or planeswalkers, or a combination thereof. So I want to see what happens with this. But at the same time, those colors really would like to have things in your graveyard. Having to collect evidence X by removing those cards is an incredibly expensive cost. Next card is just a little bit here. Next card is Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. 1 red, 1 black, 4 colorless. Legendary creature Demon. It's a 6/6 flying trample. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. So it's a 6/6 with incredible upside. It's no matter what, they're most likely they're going to see an end of turn unless someone just goes through and snaps and does an instant kill. I picked up a couple copies for a red-black deck. Speaking of red-black, I got a couple of the Raucous Theaters. This is the Surveil land that is enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you get to Surveil 1. So it will enable Descend. Now some upgrades for some of the decks, the commander decks. I got myself a borderless Morska. This one is an upgrade for the Deep Clue C deck, because I like me some borderless cards. Next one is Cost Eyes of the Glade, which is Deadly Disguise commander. That's another great card for that. These are all going to be commander cards. A couple counterpoints. Counterpoint is 1 black, 1 blue, 3 colorless. Instant counter target spell. You may cast a creature, instant, sorcery, or planeswalker spell from your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to that spell's mana value without paying its mana cost. This card's going to see some commander play. I got a couple copies. Merchant of Truth, 2 white, 2 colorless creature, Angel Detective, 2/5 flying, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, investigate. Clues you control have Exalted. This is going straight in the Deep Clue C deck. Organic Extinction, 2 white, 8 colorless, sorcery, improvise. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. This is going in an artifact deck. Watcher of Hours, 1 blue, 2/5 colorless, flying ward 3, 6/6. Whenever you remove a time counter from this card while it's exiled, you get to Surveil 1. It has Suspend 6 for a blue and 1 colorless. This is actually going to go in my the 10th Doctor deck. I need to get another copy though for my Deep Clue C deck. Take a Grove Kelp, 2 blue, 5 colorless, artifact creature, clue plant. This is 6/6 ward 2. At the beginning of each combat, other clues you control become a 6/6 plant creature in addition to their other types until end of turn. And then of course you can pay 2 to sacrifice it to draw a card just like with any other clue. This is going to my Deep Clue C deck. Copy Catchers, 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's a 2/1 creature fairy with flying. Whenever you surveil, you may pay a blue and 1 colorless. If you do, create a token that's a copy of Copy Catchers. Unshakable Tail. I had to get several copies of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to get a play set because this card is amazing. For 1 black, 2 colorless, is 3/2 Zombie Detective. When it enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, you get Surveil 1. And whenever 1 or more cards are put in your graveyard from your library, you get to investigate. And then you can pay 2, sacrifice a clue, return Unshakable Tail from your graveyard to your hand. This card's just great. It's a great card. It goes in a couple different of the new decks. Carnal Serenade, 2 black, 4 colorless. Surveil 3, it's a sorcery. You get Surveil 3 and then return a card from your graveyard, a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. And then you exile it and with 3 time counters on it. I got 3 copies of that. Next one's Mob Verdict. 2 red, 2 colorless sorcery. Each player secretly votes for another player, and then those votes are revealed. For each vote an opponent received, Mob Verdict deals 2 damage to that player. For each creature that player controls, for each vote they receive, they get to draw a card. I got 3 copies of that. Interested to see how that one plays. Next one's Experiment 12. 1 green, 3 colorless. Creature, Elf, Lizard, Warrior. It's a 4/4 trample. And when it enters the battlefield, or when it or another thing is turned face up, put a +1/+1 counter on creature equal to its power. This is going right in the Deadly Disguise deck. And then Panoptic Projector, 4 colorless for an artifact. You pay, you tap it, and then the next face down creature spell you cast this turn costs 3 less to spend. This is going straight in the Deadly Disguise deck. If turn face down, permanent face up causes a trigger ability of a permanent you control to trigger. That ability triggers an additional time. Man, be able to duplicate those triggers is huge, especially in that deck. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this TCG Player Mail Order Day. I got some good cards to be able to upgrade some decks, and I'm glad to kind of round out what I'm looking for in Markov Manor, minus I still need a ton of Surveillance. Those things are so good. Hope you guys have a great time, and until next time, keep them rolling! And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please take the time to like the video and subscribe if you'd like to stay updated. Have a great day, and keep them rolling.